How's how's it going, guys and gals? This is Anthony. Today we're back at it with a new video where we'll be talking about. I know it's a couple of days late, but we'll be reviewing TripleMania 33 and also cover some of the news that happened throughout the week. That's why I waited for a little while, where we got the confirmation of Naomi's pregnancy. Big Jim did not proceed with caution. Chris Jericho returning at the Royal Rumble. That's why he's been put into a cabinet in AEW and hasn't appeared since April. So those are a couple of the wrestling news right now. So now let's continue with the review for TripleMania 33. It started with the Copa Bardal, which is a type of a mini Royal Rumble, 14-man Rumble. People will get in the ring every 90 seconds. And, La Parca was the first entrant. And some people were mad about he didn't come out to Thriller. But I understand why he didn't, WWE doesn't have the rights to it. So maybe he can use it on televised shows. But for the big shows, it's only copyrighted music. So La Parca was number 1. Laredo Kid was number 2. And also the other members that were part of this match, I don't remember the order, but we had Joaquin Wild, Cruz del Toro, Abismo Negro Jr., Cibernético, Otis and Pimpinela Escarlata, which were great in this match. They teased the kiss. People were into both Otis and Pimpy, and they got it. And obviously Abismo Negro Jr. cut it off. That's a great way to get heat. The partnership between Otis and Microman was perfect. Everything here was booked so good. Like, obviously, I forgot to mention that the rules of the Copa Bardal are pinfall, submission, or elimination over the top rope. So I'm just talking about the most important moments here. And obviously, the last man to enter was Omos, which there were rumors that he was gonna be on TripleMania, but people didn't know as to how much capacity he was going to be involved in. So once Omos came out with number 14, I was like, oh, he's winning. Okay. So Otis was attacked by Omos, and Microman was like, you know what? You try to save me, F that. Frog Splash 1, 2, 3. He eliminated Otis. I thought that was great. By the way, that was the only pinfall in the match. Because how in any way, shape, or form was Microman gonna eliminate somebody? He took advantage of a situation and fulfilled it. Excellent booking. The face-off between Omos and Microman, for me, that was the highlight of this Battle Royale. The difference in height, how Microman went to the ropes trying to attack. Big boot by Omos. And obviously the last two were La Parca and Omos. So in a way they were telling the story of how La Parca has been there since the very beginning. And how he gonna beat adversity. He was trying to get out of Omos. He got one foot out to the apron. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. No. Omos throws him over the top rope. Lands like crap. That was a horrible landing by Parca. Omos wins the Copa Bardal. And you know what? Omos is gonna be a huge draw for AAA. So sending him down there was an excellent idea. So for the beginning of the Savio Vega, Moody Jack Melendez, and Undertaker and Conan creative team era of AAA is a good beginning. Next up, we have, I don't remember which, you see, I just didn't take notes. I was just soaking in the show. I'm just gonna talk about, in certain, in how, in however order I want. So, next up, we had the 6-man tag between Mr. Iguana, Lullabies, and Niño Hamburguesa versus the Judgment Day with Roxanne Perez at ringside. This match was decent, but the best, this match had two great moments. It's when Mr. Iguana was tagged in. Mr. Iguana was tagged in, and he was using Jessica to attack Finn Balor and stuff. Finn Balor gets out of the ring. He climbs the apron. He had a hand behind his back, and the camera shot. Boom! He has a Demon King puppet, and Mr. Iguana is like, "Oh my God, what is that?" Jessica and Demonito go at it. Demonito beats Jessica, and you could hear the boos. The boos were the heat was so much that they could have turned on a generator and have electricity for the entire winter without using fossil fuel. Like, that's how intense that heat was from Finn Balor. And besides, they were booing him because he's a CMLL guy. Let's be honest. They're booing him because he was also a New Japan guy. And we know that CMLL is the one that works with New Japan. So, he was also being booed for that. So, but the finish of the match came in when the ref was knocked down. And the ref was knocked down. Roxanne Perez tried to interfere, and La Hiedra, which is one half of the AAA Mixed Tag Team Champions alongside Mr. Iguana, comes in. She tries to help Lullabies and accidentally hits her. She looks at her and it's like, whatever. And she goes going after Roxanne, and they go running to the back. Lullaby's knocked down. Roxanne Rodriguez gets into the ring. She covers Lola. The referee slowly starts to count to 1. People are chanting, are saying no. 2, 3. The Judgment Day wins. And we saw Lullabies and Mr. Iguana having a little bit of a disagreement right there. So maybe they're gonna have a I don't know, like La Hiedra and Mr. Iguana versus Lullabies and Damian Priest. And besides, Lullabies was working AAA, was working TripleMania that night, and Damian Priest was hanging out that night on Puerto Rico with Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest We're hanging out here in Puerto Rico on a Bad Bunny concert. Nobody Matthews inside. Take that as you will. I'm trying to be funny, okay? Oh, okay. I'm not trying to start stuff. I was just trying to be funny. I'm trying to be funny, okay? So the first two matches on TripleMania were won by heels. So next up we go with Ricky Banderas, the greatest Puerto Rican wrestler in the 21st century. I hated the introduction they gave him. They should have had a Puerto Rican do the introduction. Sabio Vega and Moody are part of the creative team. Have them come out and do the introduction. What the hell, Dorian? Why didn't you make that happen? I was so pissed off at Dorian for not doing that. That intro did not do him justice. Enough. What the? But again, I'm not trying to curse. I'm a huge Ricky Banderas mark. He's the greatest Puerto Rican wrestler of the 21st century, even over Carlito. Yeah, fight me. Carlito is a guy that only gives a damn when you pay him good. There, I said it. Because if you're not a Puerto Rican, you have not heard the stuff about Carlito. About how he sometimes does not care. He does not care sometimes. And even when he works his dad's company here in Puerto Rico, the WWC, he sometimes even comes out and he's like, look, even in his dad's own company, sometimes he doesn't even care. And he wrestles on jeans. Like, at least pretend that you care in your dad's company, dude. This is why Puerto Rican wrestling has been in the ground since Victor Quiñones died in 2006 for people like you, Carlito. And I'm sorry, I'm going way off topic. I apologize. And then came out Dr. Wagner III, el hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. We had Dr. Wagner Jr. on the front row. So once they showed him, I'm like, oh, okay. He's gonna be involved here in some type of way. Especially with Dorian being on Ricky's corner for this match. It's so weird seeing Ricky as a heel. Because he's a much better babyface. And I understand you people in the United States, you've only seen him as a heel. Especially if you watch him in TNA as Judas Messias. Man, but he's so bad as a heel. Like, at least right now, as being part of the El Ojo que todo lo ve stable, he's been a decent heel. But look, for him to work as a heel, you need to put him a manager, because he's such a great baby face. He's such a great baby face. So for me, it's so weird to watch him as a heel. Like, I know that early in his career, like in 2000, here in Puerto Rico, he was a heel. But he got so over that they had to turn him babyface. And then a couple of years later, they turned him heel, and the houses went down. That they had to turn him babyface not even 6 months later. Like, and then the houses went back up. You know what I mean? Like we've seen when he's the face of a company, he can carry it as a babyface. And even during the late 2000s, early 2010s, he was the face of AAA, and they had him as a babyface. But obviously this match has a lot of history. Remember TripleMania XXXIII, Ricky Banderas versus Dr. Wagner Jr., Mega Championship on the line. Dr. Wagner Jr. wins in possibly the greatest match in TripleMania history back in 2009. Back then, Dr. Wagner Jr. still had the mask on. So, before he lost it a couple years later. So obviously this match, what was built around on Dorian interfering. Dr. Wagner Jr.'s just had enough. Just had enough. He jumped the barricade. He confronted Dorian, and I think this was pretty funny because this was so much like so much like 1986 WWF because of how cartoony it was. And I say 1986 WWF because I feel this is something that Bobby Heenan would have done. And it's like, once he sees Dr. Wagner Jr. in front of him, Dorian puts a Dr. Wagner Jr. mask on, as if that's gonna give him some type of supernatural power. And not even half a second after he puts the mask on, boom! Right hand from Dr. Wagner Jr. Dorian eats shit on the ground. And I kind of suspect that was a potato, because before my phone decided to update by itself, I was talking about how I feel that Dr. Wagner gave Dorian a potato, and I thought this was a great false finish, as Dr. Wagner is celebrating getting Dorian out of the equation. Ricky comes in, spear on Eddie, on Doctor Wagner the Third. You know, I'm just not gonna say Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. I'm just gonna say Dr. Wagner the Third from now on. Oh, okay, like Ricky gives a spear to Doctor. Why I cannot say Doctor now? Ricky gives a spear to Dr. Wagner the Third. You know, let's just call him from now on Wagner 3. So, spear to Wagner 3. He covers. Junior looks like, oh my god, he's gonna be my son, and he kicks out. And I'm like, okay, so Wagner 3 is gonna win here. And obviously he does his finish. A couple minutes later, 1, 2, 3, we got a new AAA Latin American champion. Wagner Jr. and Wagner the Third celebrate in the ring. So he did the one thing his father did. He did one thing that his father did, which is beat Ricky Banderas. So there you have a story with Ricky about not being able to beat the Wagners. Like, you could do something there. Like, there's some story there. And before I continue, I forgot to mention during the Copa Bardal that Mecha Wolf 450, Mr. 450, el último en su especie. The last draw in Puerto Rican wrestling was in the Copa Bardal, and he was such a great veteran to have there because he was the guy that held the pieces together. So I really had to praise him for that before I should continue. Next up, we had the AAA Tag Team titles on the line on a street fight. Los Garza versus Psycho Clown and Pagano. We know that in Worlds Collide, Pagano was a little bit sloppy. We know that. So here WWE put him in an environment where he's gonna thrive. And thrive he did. This match was full of great spots. There was a spot here where Garza had Pagano on a world's strongest slam position and Psycho Clown at a powerbomb position at the same time. Berto comes in, springboard dropkick to Garza's back. and he takes both Pagan and Psycho Clown in a World's Strongest Slam powerbomb combo onto a tower of tables. Like that spot was great. Like also the beginning of the match with the candlesticks. Like Garza and Berto were had candlesticks. So Pagan and Psycho Clown check under the ring and they were like, "Oh, you got candlesticks?" They got out candlesticks, but these candles had barbed wire. So they were like, "Bam!" And the way they sold it, their shock faces, and then when they got hit with it, it kind of felt like a minimized version of Randy Orton landing on the thumbtacks. Like that's how good their selling was here. But if I go spot for spot, I'll be telling you the entire match. Go watch it on either WWE's uh to WWE's Spanish YouTube channel, or go to the AAA YouTube channel and watch it there. I know it won't be the same with the Spanish commentary, because if you don't speak Spanish, then I cannot understand that. But man, like especially the finish where Psycho Clown gives Berto a Spanish fly from a top rope Spanish fly for the 1, 2, 3. Like everything in this match was put in a way where Pagano was able to hide his weaknesses. He was not sloppy compared to Worlds Collide. Psycho Clown looked good, he's been the face of AAA for almost a decade now. Or been a top guy for over a decade now, right? Because he debuted when in 2007. And then we had the entire Psycho Circus celebrating all the clowns from the Psychos, the remaining clowns from the from the Psycho Circus came in to celebrate with Psycho Clown and with Pagano. I thought that was excellent. Giving some AAA OGs something to be like, "Oh, the Psycho Circus is here." Then on the semi-main event, we had the triple threat match for the Reina de Reinas Championship, where Lady Flammer, in a 700-day plus reign, defends against Fabio Apache and Natty. You see, this is the Natalia that we need in WWE. If you bring that gimmick to WWE, I think she could be the top heel on Raw right now, especially with Naomi's pregnancy. Yeah, she can be the top heel on SmackDown right now. I mean, SmackDown needs a heel, but I think Jade is gonna be that top heel, especially after that segment. And I know I'm going way off topic and talking about SmackDown from a couple of weeks ago instead of talking about this match, but Jade is gonna be the heel on SmackDown, because if you guys remember the Kiana James Julia segment where they gave a card to Jade, and Jade kept that card, if you really think about it. So she lost on SummerSlam. So I think she's going heel. I think Jade is going heel. I think Jade is going heel. But now with Naomi's pregnancy, you don't have a heel on Raw. And I think if you bring the Natty, the low-key legend gimmick with the bodyguards and the whole 9 yards, you have a heel that can carry the title onto WrestleMania 42. Like, I actually believe that. But obviously the referee for this match was El Hijo del Tirantes, and we know, if you watch AAA, El Hijo del Tirantes and Fabio Apache have had a rivalry that's been on and off for 20 years. He screwed Fabi Apache in some of the most important matches of her career. So, will he screw her? Of course he did. Fast count 1, 2, 3. Lady Flammer retains the title. The 700 plus days title reign continues. But there was some pretty good stuff here. Like, first of all, we need a one-on-one match between Natty and Fabi Apache. Please give me that. And the other thing, there was a great spot with Natty where she took Fabi and Flammer and put them in a double sharpshooter. If that had been the finish and you had given Natty the Reina de Reinas title, I would have believed it. That would have been the most credible thing I had ever seen in women's wrestling. There was some pretty good back and forth. I kind of felt like the match was built around Natty and Fabi and not a whole lot on Flammer, but I understand Natty and Fabi are two baby faces, where Flammer was clearly the heel in this match. So if they want to build dissension between, like Fabi and Natty, which is what happened after the match where they almost went to blows with each other, it worked. And it got my attention for a singles match between those two in a couple of months down the line. And there we go to the main event. El Grande Americano, Dragon Lee, and the WWE Intercontinental Champion Dominic Mysterio challenge for the AAA Mega Championship. Hold been on the ways of El Hijo del Vikingo, who ever since Alberto has been out of the company has been booed out of the buildings because he's getting the 2015 Roman Reigns treatment because they took out the guy. WWE took out the guy, Alberto Del Rio, a guy that was proven innocent. Let me repeat. I know the charges were dropped, and for people saying, oh, the report says missing. In Mexico, when they say like missing witness, is because charges were dropped. Missing witness is just like a figure of speech. It's like a figure of speech to say, oh, the charges were dropped because there was no evidence, or it was proven to be a lie fabricated against the defendant. So he's been proven innocent of the stuff he did. And if we're gonna talk about the stuff with Paige, it was Paige doing abuse on Alberto. That's been documented. There's videos about it. But since I inform myself with lawyers and stuff, and I'm actually a good person, I would hire the Rio back because he has a clean record. I mean, for crying out loud, Stone Cold Steve Austin is a wife beater. And he appears on television to this day. What the heck? A proven wife beater, and he still appears on national television. Yet I don't see people criticizing that. Someone that is a convict of domestic abuse. And I like the Austin character, but for me, ever since that day, he became a piece of crap to me. And I would never shake his hand in public. I would say, I love your character work, but I think you're a piece of shit as a person. And I hope you die on... I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to say, I hope you get unalive on a fire. And just leave it at that. That's what I would say to Austin's face. But yeah, I mean, this match was excellent. WWE uploaded it to the WWE, to their Spanish-speaking YouTube channel and to the AAA YouTube channel. If you missed it, go watch it. There was some great stuff here where we had Kaiser came out singing Cielito Lindo. I thought that was great. He was shaking the fans' hands. And man, Ludwig Kaiser has put his all into this gimmick. And it's so amazing because we thought he had a lot of heat because of Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair was politicking to get him fired, but she didn't. They gave this gimmick to Kaiser as punishment, and he has taken it out of the park. Grand slam to win the freaking game. Bases loaded, 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and he boom through. He called his shot like Babe Ruth and grand slam, baby, grand slam. Like, it's too bad that Shaq Gable got injured, but Kaiser has taken this gimmick to a whole other level, especially since he's a guy that knows Spanish, that a guy that actually speaks the language. So that's a super advantage for him against Gable, who the only thing he said on Spanish was gracias, thank you, but he did not speak Spanish. Dragon Lee had the Chinese Dragon entrance, people coming out with the Chinese Dragon. Dominic came out with a Rey Mysterio senior mask. And then Vikingo was backstage getting the rub from Rey Mysterio Jr. And even Vikingo has so much heat that he got Rey Mysterio booed out of the building. Imagine that. So, and obviously, as Dominic was about to win, I already talked about, the El Grande Americanos lackeys tried to interfere. They got taken out. The Judgment Day tried to interfere. They got taken out. As Dominic was about to win, someone in a El Ojo que todo lo ve gear dropped Dominic. At first, everybody thought it was Alberto because that was another thing through the entire show. People were chanting Alberto all show long. And I thought it was Alberto for a second. But no, it was AJ Styles. Styles Clash 6:30 by Vikingo, and he retains the title to a chorus of boos as the show went off the air. And there's something else that happened before the main event, which was the Conan AAA Hall of Fame induction ceremony. He was inducted by Rey Mysterio. The Rey Mysterio speech had the biggest amount of Alberto Del Rio's chants, and he was like, I'm working on it. He told the fans, I'm working on it, don't worry, I'm working on it. So we know that the return of Alberto Del Rio to AAA is drawing near, ladies and gentlemen. The guy that's gonna save AAA from Vikingo. Let's go. I hope he appears in Worlds Collide and helps Dominic win the Mega Championship. I really hope so. So now with that, Conan came out. They put a nice video package, right? They put a nice video package for Conan. Conan, which was part of the English commentary team, stood up and went to the ring. And this Hall of Fame induction speech, I know that this went overtime, but then one fan was saying, well, was trying to be a smartass, and Conan was telling him to shut up. So in a way, he got so worked up by the fan, where he started insulting the fan. And I was like, God damn, Conan, calm down, buddy. Jesus. So he got worked up by a fan. And not only that, but allegedly the company was not too happy about that. So yeah, those were two of the news this week, and the review for TripleMania 33. A couple of days late. I apologize, but I was feeling sick this past week, and I was like, man, my health is first, then a video. So remember, if you like this type of content, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And before I go, share these beautiful moments with your families, create beautiful memories, because life's too short, but those memories last a lifetime. As always, this is Anthony signing off. Bye bye.